Hello, Paolo here, and today, as you can see, I'm in great company and I want to make a review of two of the best bikes I've ever ridden in my whole life. So clearly these two machines have 10 years apart from each other, and technology-wise, the materials and the constructions and even the design of the two bikes, they differ so much, even though they might look similar, but they feel, the ride, and even the power is totally different. Definitely, I'm leaning toward more the technological aspect of this bike. I'm an engineer and I really love the fact that so much technology can be implemented in modern machines. It makes riding so much easier, and it does provide the same amount of excitement and feelings that you get with the older bikes. And sorry to call you old, but these are 2013 models and these are 2022 model, so it is 10 years. There's clearly some differences even part-wise, like the suspensions, and clearly the tank has been redesigned, and the engine is still the kind of same engine, the LC8. This is 1290cc, this is 1190cc, but pretty much the same engine, tweaked up and redesigned, feel more smooth and manageable on this machine, and definitely more aggressive and raw on this machine. So I like them both. This one have like a personal feeling, personal attachment to it, and this is a new bike, but it does feel great, and I did the adventure rally with it and it just rides so amazingly. So yes. So this is a 10 years old bike, so he has the old school tank at the top, not much technology going on in terms of dashboard, but it still had 6 CPUs managing each part of the motorcycle. So he had a CPU for air intake and electronic suspensions from WP, and all this other technology that at the time was probably groundbreaking. It was also one of the first motorcycles to mount the cornering ABS from Bosch, which assisted the braking power while cornering, while in turns. And yeah, that was groundbreaking 10 years ago, but clearly nowadays most of the bikes is actually mandatory to have ABS in front of the bike. So one of the aspects that was a bit controversial at the time was that it was generating a lot of heat under the seat. As you can see, the second head is pretty much underneath the seat. So some people complain about the heat generated on the leg by the second head, and aside from that, the bike was pretty much flawless in my opinion. It was such a strong and robust bike, and so fast that it was just stunning to see such a high performance bike in a form of an adventure bike or enduro bike. Now they're called maxi enduro, but they look like pretty much a enduro bike on steroids.
You can immediately tell that the 1190 is kind of retro. Most of modern motorcycle displays are in fact fully digital. On the right hand side we have the display that is partially analog, and it marks the RPMs and the time, the speed and the gearbox selection and the fuel gauge. On the right hand side instead we have a panel that allows you to control the riding modes, the MTC, the ABS. In my case I even had the heated grips and all the other features that are available electronically on the bike.
With this new model, KTM wanted to address some of the complaints that they've been receiving from customers, one of which was the heating issue and the other one was the heaviness of the motorcycle. So what they did, they lowered the machine, make it a little bit longer, and incline the engine some degrees. So in this sense now the heating is not happening anymore. Also because there's 2 separate radiators taking care of each one of the cylinders. The heat comes from this side now, so your legs are completely protected and sheltered by the fairings, and there's no heating coming from underneath the seat. At first glance the bike looks completely different. The tank has been put at the bottom of the bike, and so the center of gravity is basically lower than the previous model. Having the tank and the center of gravity at such a low point of the bike helps in the overall maneuverability. This is a detail that has been developed from the rally bikes, which have the tank and the water reservoir at the bottom of it. This improves the overall stability of the bike at higher speeds. The other small changes that has been applied to this model is that the engine has been slightly inclined forward a few degrees. This makes the riding a bit more aggressive. It actually reduces a little bit of the heating generated by the second head. Another small detail is that the swing arm has been made a little bit longer. So overall you can say that the bike has been made a bit lower and more aggressive towards street riding. Obviously this is the 1290 Super Adventure S. This is the street oriented model. There's also the R model, which has a bit more ground clearance, bigger suspensions, so that's more designed for off-roading. But I've been taking this bike through the Adventure Rally in France. It's incredible what it can do if you put the off-road mode. It changes the maneuverability of the bike completely. It self-assesses itself to tackle the terrain that you're riding on. It's simply mind-blowing. And now for the juicy stuff. The radar, or adaptive cruise control, is actually a device that has been developed and implemented in the automotive industry for years now. And KTM decided to put it again on this flagship motorcycle to make it, this machine, once more the most advanced motorcycle in the industry. Well, let's be honest, not everybody likes technology. On my old KTM 1190 Adventure, I didn't even have cruise control. Now on the KTM 1290 Super Adventure S, there's adaptive cruise control, which is just mind-blowing. I wasn't entirely sure that the technology was working well on motorcycle. I've seen it applied in cars and it was fine, but on motorcycle with all these new variables and the leaning angles, I wasn't quite sure. But then I took this motorcycle from KTM Austria to France on a 1800 k's journey. During the trip I had the chance to try adaptive cruise control and it was simply incredible.
At the moment I'm using the adaptive cruise control. As you can see, I'm in sports mode as a S, and you can see also that the car is green, means that I have a car in front of me. The speed is set to 118 and the distance is set to very close. So the bike, as you can see, is very close to the car in front of me and it's decelerating by itself according to the car. But the power of braking is determined by the distance that I set up over here. So now I'm in sports mode, so it will brake very hard and it will brake very close to the car. So this is going 90 k's an hour. If the car is going to stop suddenly, the bike is going to stop suddenly, which is not very comfortable, but it is a very aggressive way of riding. So I can set it up manually over here in the cruise control section. You can set up sport and the distance, as you can see, and it's all very customizable.
The radar was not only able to detect cars, but also bicycles and all the other small objects on the road. Even the space in between cars was assessed by the radar. The sensor was also capable of detecting if a car was accelerating or decelerating in front of me. It was just a relaxing experience to be able to just set the bike to the parameter that I needed and just relax, sightseeing a little bit. Don't have to worry about like sudden deceleration of cars in front of me. I wish I had that when I was traveling around the world with my 1190.
One of the outstanding features of this new KTM 1290 Super Adventure S is definitely the display. KTM is usually one of the brands that works a lot on the user interface, and this time improved a lot from the previous models. It's a massive display and it's very colorful. The pictogram allows you to see all the features of the bike, and it's very intuitive. You don't really have to read what's going on the display, you just have to navigate with the images. You can adjust the preload, adjust the settings of the suspensions. There's actually a pretty good menu and a very in-depth detailed customization you can do on the suspensions. There's also another outstanding feature, which is the anti-dive system, which prevents the front suspension to compress too much during hard braking. There's a screen that also allows us to configure the adaptive cruise control according to our riding styles and riding conditions. We can't really talk about this new bike without talking about the rally mode. Rally mode is a riding mode that allows you to squeeze all the juice and all the power from this incredible motorcycle. Once you enable rally mode, the display layout changes completely. Once you enter rally mode, you can customize your bike to the very detail, adjusting the throttle response from rally to street to off-road, disabling the ABS on the rear wheel, and tune the traction control on the rear wheel. You can set it in fact with the sleep control adjustment system from 1 to 10, controlling how much you want to see the rear wheel spin.
So to conclude this video, I just want to say that these bikes are simply unbelievable. Rather for their reliability or their technologically advanced features, these bikes there will take you to the end of the world. And again, if you're like me, that like a big adrenaline rush when you ride and technology, KTM is definitely the brand for you. So that's it for today. I hope you liked the review. Please subscribe, leave a comment if you think I've missed some details about these two bikes. And yeah, I'll see you next time.